You might include noted thing various while order a sip in a bar or small restaurant newly. Lot companies now use document straws in their drinks. Several include made off in straws generally. Other hold plasticity straws over the resist, just accessible on query. It might not audio love a enormous transactions, but he's a mark of the considerable changing in the relation the social, the by the government and main corporations include to plasticity. We all include responsibilities as countrymen, but our initial job is to do a episode of programs that are thrilling, true, and say on thing rather essential, he says. These aren't environmental programs, they're not proselytizing programs, they're not scaremonger programs, which they are is a new shape of cinema, and a new shape of living nature cinema. Hot on the heels of Earthland 2 and Dark Blue Earth 2 comes the year's Attenborough fronted program, Dynasties. The 5 episodes of the episode, that begins on Saturday, are break downward in chimpanzees, lions, penguins, tigers, and wolves. No, down there are several, down there are really several, Sir David says. Down there's surely one in the Discovery program, that is while an old chimpanzee is beaten up, which we include told is, we will show which happens. We are not departure to astringent the up, we're not departure to misrepresent it in any path. If he's a triumphant, penalty, if he's a tragic, how to we will show. Dynasties may not include rather the identical explicit policy communication as Dark Blue Earth 2, but down there was one question that stored repeated, says execution manufacturer Michael Gunton. The episode is on the issue, for a lot of these creatures, how down their fare isn't quite area for them to pull through, he explains. Area is not as sexual as plasticity, he's a stronger item to get yours chief about, he's a lot greater question, so in the person struggles in these creatures lives, how's a really nice way of earning it to focus. Gunton acquaintance out tigers as a main sample. He says a success rock of tigers in a backup tool, a blood pressure pan, is created by their growing people. They're really nice breeders, nice at looking following their youthful, he's fair they don't include the area, he explains. Or later all these issues begin to happen, they keep the garden, they crucifix paths in humanus and frequently house not in really lucky results. How special scene sees one tigress in India get the dangerous judgment to keep her back up to search for meal, as competing tigers, searching their own area, are encroaching on her hunt lands. He's not length up human beings place her and urge the wood division, who tranquilise her and ultimately back her to the backup. One question how has often cropped up in environment documentaries in latter year is if filmmakers should hinder in which they see time survey. But testifying animals in stress can be hard for crews, who include been named to sometimes stand up. The scene of Dynasties' focus on tsar penguins threw up a such conundrum. A quantity of females are seen receive blown up in a ravine in a tempest, incapable to get out since of the cliff walls of snowing and ice they are enclosed by. They include the horrible issue how they can't go really so while they've got the chicks on their feet, since if the chicks drop to the land and while they're how age they'll dead, Gunton says. Or down there was the really cliff party, and they couldn't climb up out since they couldn't go their feet efficaciously quite. So several of them had to do a terrible judgment, that was to rescue themselves and leave their chicks. A person controlled to use her its beak efficaciously as an ice choose and job her way up and get to the top of the ice side and flee. The chamber team later took a breakdown of shooting as else tempest excited in, but they refundable to the ravine quickly following. It was precise how except this some penguins had the wit to do how, that largest of them didn't appear to include, they were all departure to dead, Gunton continues. We talked to a scholar down there and told, if we can fair bring how lubricity of the hillside, we're not departure to concern any of them, how might indicate they can discover their way of. And how will indicate a considerable quantity of these gem creatures will pull through. How is exactly which the crew ended up making. They created slight notches in the hillside, efficaciously creation several stairs for the penguins to discover their own way up and of. Strangely, if human beings knew we'd had the prospect to do how and we hadn't, how would have been a lot more than hard item to reply, Gunton says. He acknowledges how escapism might be a key portion of the circulation of such a episode. Independently of which party of the policy share thou on, frequently, you fair wish to selector away. I believe all of us, florid in which we are florid in, Brexit, each period you rotate on the TV kit, you get he says. I surely look the news story all the period, and to get a program on thing that is more than basic and more than elementary, and as well completely real, I wouldn't say he's an flea, since he's fact, but he's a large changing and a large ease. This reality, how it has underlying reason and implications in our own lives and our own decisions, is as it should be. But he's as far as you can get off of the policy scenery that differently dominates your thoughts.